you probably saw something about personal branding, and you're here because you're interested in personal branding. You're interested in building a personal brand, learning about a personal brand. And there were some questions in the form that you filled to sign up, where you talked about how you feel about personal branding, why you want to build a personal brand, and things like that. And so that's what we're going to look into. And there were some people put in some questions. I will not be able to cover all the questions because some of them are quite detailed and beyond the scope of what we can cover in 1 hour. But I will do my best to touch on as many as possible while maintaining the structure of the webinar. So I'm going to share my screen now. So tell me, can you see my screen? Let me see in the chat if you can see my screen. Lovely. You can see my screen. Amazing. I love that. Great. So welcome to the Be Visible Personal Branding webinar. I'm very excited to have you here today. Just as a note, the call will be recorded. Please turn on your video if you can. Like, it really helps when I can see other people, so I know that I am not alone in this room. And also, please use the chat. Please engage, ask questions. There's also a Q&A function, so you can ask questions in the Q&A function, in the Q&A section of the thing as well on Google Meet. And so what are we going to cover today? We're going to do a little bit of introduction, primarily me introducing myself. I'm asking you some questions. We'll talk about what is a personal brand, what are some myths and false beliefs, what really is visibility, and my 3C framework, and then we'll ask and answer some questions. How do you feel about personal branding? You feel, I don't even know how to translate this emoji. You think it's cringe, okay, good. This is something that I hear a lot. You feel shy, you love the concept and you hate the label. I love that because, well, I don't necessarily hate the label, but I understand it. It feels performative. These are the words that, we usually hear when we think about personal branding. So if this is how you feel, you're in the right place, because the whole idea of this is that personal branding, self-promotion, it can feel very cringe, very yucky, very, we don't do that here. But I want to show you today that it actually is not. That personal branding is not performative, it's not cringy, it's not, you don't have to be shy about it, you don't have to feel splattery. I don't know how to translate this emoji, but you don't have to feel that way about it. And in the form that you filled, about 68 people filled this form, and it's from the responses, it's clear that many of us know that building a personal brand can help us achieve certain goals, whether it's getting jobs, advancing our careers as a business person, attracting clients and customers, building a global network, gaining confidence, and you know that there is value and there's benefits to creating a personal brand, to being visible, to being known, to being seen. But there are all of these challenges and barriers that we have spoken about how you feel and what you think about it. But before we go into the building of personal brand, do you know that there are different ways of being visible? There are types of visibility, areas where you can be visible. Did you know that? So how I think about it is there are 3 ways. You can be visible in your workplace, you can be visible online, and you can be visible socially or in real life. And I will explain more about this as we go along. But briefly, workplace visibility is about being visible, literally. I mean, the name of the thing is be visible. So it's about being visible in your workplace, being known, being known by the people who need to know you, being able to be identified by the work that you do, making your work legible to your manager, your manager's manager. It's possible for you to work with your manager for months and years, and they don't know what you've done. It's actually possible. I've seen it happen, and it's because, yes, they are seeing you every day, but they're not really seeing you. So how can you be seen by the people that you work with, by the people who determine your promotion, your raise, your recognition at work, things like that? That is a kind of visibility. Another kind is one that most of us are very familiar with and we think about immediately when we hear personal brand and visibility. We immediately think online, we immediately think social media, we immediately think those things. And yes, that is a part of visibility, that is a part of your personal brand. And then the last part is social or in real life showing up in communities, showing up online, and things like that. So I wanted to ask you a question here, and I want to see a show of hands, or you can also put this in the chat. If you're currently looking for a job or searching for clients, like you're a business owner or you're a freelancer and you're looking for a job or you're looking for clients, can you put in the chat or give me a wave, raise hands, give me some emoji, something, so I can see. Okay, I can see some thumbs up. If you don't feel, if you feel okay to share your current job or the last opportunity that you got, whether it was a speaking engagement, a freelance opportunity, whatever it was, how did it come to you? How did you find it? Can you put that in the chat for me? How did you find your the last job that you had, or the current job that you had, the last, whether freelance opportunity, speaking opportunity, whatever other kind of opportunity that you were interested in, how did you find it? Referrals, okay. Online through LinkedIn, referral. I'm seeing a lot of referrals. So what that is referrals are based on your personal brand. Somebody saying an ex-colleague, and that's the point I was making about workplace visibility. So your ex-colleague referred you because you have a brand. In their eyes, there is a brand, there's something that they associate with you. So when somebody was looking for somebody that offered that service or that did that thing, they immediately thought of you. So that is part of your personal brand. Another question for you: do your friends know what you do? They actually know your work. Like, first of all, first level is your friends know your job title. At the first level, do your friends know your job title? I want to see thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no in the chat. They know what you do. That's a level of having a personal brand. Now, can your friends describe what you actually do? Like, if your friends were to describe what you do, would they be able to describe your work? Some people are not sure. Half. Okay. That is also part of your personal brand. And I'm going to now show you what a personal brand is. So typically when you think of personal brand, you think of what I said earlier about, like, oh, your job, your this, but that's not really what it is. And I will show you an example. So in 2013, I got my first job where somebody was paying me money to do something, and it was writing for a blog and managing it. How did that happen? It was because I was writing my own blog at the time. I was writing, and so that person saw my writing, and in their mind, I was somebody who could write. And when they needed someone to write their blog, they contacted me to do that. And that writing led to many more opportunities, including I ran social media for a nonprofit for a while. We won an award even for best use of social media. And that also led to other things and led to other things. And so that was part of building my personal brand. But that was in 2013. So let's talk my current trajectory. If you know me from work, you know that I work in the space of UX, product, tech, things like that. How did I get there? In 2015, I think, I started going to this meetup called Usable. Was I a designer? No. Was I working in UX? No. I was just curious. I was interested. I went. And after a while, an opportunity came up at the company that was hosting this meetup, Co-Creation Hub, and they contacted me. Now, I said I was not working in UX. I was not doing anything UX related. I was studying psychology. I was actually still in uni at the time. I was studying psychology, but I had built a personal brand in that community, and not in the way you're thinking of a personal brand. How I built my personal brand was in my showing up, in my character, in my contributing to the community, in helping out, in asking questions, in being present and being visible within the community. And that led to an opportunity. I didn't have to tell anyone anything. I didn't have to say I'm looking for a UX job, because I wasn't even looking for a UX job. I wasn't planning to work in UX. The opportunity just came up. And because I had a presence and visibility within that community, that opportunity was presented to me. Now, I was telling somebody today, that interview is one of the worst interviews I've had in my life. It was really, really bad. Like, it was so bad. Have you been in an interview that was so bad that the interviewer tells you that you are doing really badly? that was that interview. This was my first proper job interview. I'd never done a real job interview before then. So it was terrible. But I still got the job. Why? Because my personal brand spoke for me. That this is not this girl's real color. We have seen her, she's excellent, she has done things, but this something is going wrong here, but we'll still give her a chance. So that is what a personal brand does for you. It goes beyond just, oh, your specific technical skills. It's also about your character, the things that you do, and how people perceive you in that way. And I don't remember the exact words, but the person who interviewed me said, "You're not doing really good at this interview, but because we've seen you and we know you and we know what you can do, we're going to give you a chance." It was something like that. And that's the point. That's what a personal brand can do for you. When you have a personal brand, people know you and they like you. And I'm going to come to that shortly. When you have a good personal brand, because you can have a bad personal brand and people don't like you and they don't trust you. So we're going to talk about how to build that. So now this is me a few months into this job. I started in November 2016, my first UX research job, and my manager makes me give a talk at Usable about UX research. I was forced to give this talk because I was like, I don't know anything. I just started doing this job. Why are you giving a talk? But turns out I actually knew something. I gave this talk. It was well received because a few years down the line, I got a job at InterSwitch. How did I get this job? And I only found out about this when I had joined InterSwitch. The person who recommended me for the job at InterSwitch had attended this talk that I gave in 2017. Mind you, I didn't know the person. I'd never spoken to the person before. The person did not talk to me at that meetup. I didn't know them. They just came for the meetup. And when they had an opening at InterSwitch for UX researcher, which they did not post online, by the way, this job was never posted online. It was a direct, like they contacted me directly to say, we have this opening. I had to do an interview. So it doesn't mean that because you have a personal brand, they will just pick you, although that happens sometimes, like you will just get in. But it opened the door for me to get that job. And that led to that job. And then in that job, I then got another opportunity to do a workshop at Andela on UX research and design thinking with another person. We did the workshop together. Somebody who was at that workshop recommended me for another role when Google wanted to hire someone in Nigeria for a project. So can you see how all of these, and this is just a few examples, like I have so many examples of how a random article that I wrote on LinkedIn led to a freelance opportunity with a European startup when I was still in Nigeria. Like there's always, you don't know how far or how well whatever it is you write, you create, you do, and even within your workplace, because some of the opportunities I've got, somebody said here on this chat that their ex-colleague referred them for a speaking opportunity. Now that ex-colleague is not because they wrote a post on LinkedIn that their ex-colleague referred them. And that's why I emphasize workplace visibility. The sum of all of these things is that people want to hire who they know. They want to work with who they know. And even if that knowing is from just seeing you online or from encountering you in person, like for example, the opportunity where I started working at CC Hub, they knew me because they had been seeing me repeatedly. There was a connection with me. And so they knew me. And in that sense, they were willing to take a chance on me and trust me because they have seen me and they know me. And that is what your personal brand does for you. I watched a TEDx talk a very long time ago, and I wrote down what the person said. He said, people do business with who they know, like, and trust. And building your personal brand helps you become known, liked, and trusted. I mean, you could build a personal brand that makes people not like you, but I don't know why. But the cocoa is that people want to hire people who they know, like, and trust. And so your personal brand, you already have one. Whether you're consciously building it or not, you have a personal brand. There's something that people associate with you when they think about your name. There's something that people associate with you when they hear you, when they see your work. It's not about your LinkedIn. It's not about your Instagram. It's not about I'm happy to announce. It's not about whether you have a fancy logo for your name. Your personal brand is how people describe you when you're not there. It's about the work that you produce, the results you've achieved, the things you talk about, the character you demonstrate, it's basically what people think about. It's like word association. What do you think about when you hear the word table? Whatever people think about when they hear your name, that is your personal brand. And it's always different depending on who you're talking to, based on what they have seen about you and how they have encountered you. There are many of my friends who till today don't know that I bake because we don't have that. That has not come up, or they've not seen my post about baking. But there are some people that's what they know. When I told some people earlier in the year that I registered a business, some people thought I was talking about baking because that's what I was doing a lot as far as they were concerned. In their mind, that's my brand, right? But that's not what the business was. That's why I was like, I have to make some adjustments about how I'm presenting myself here. But your personal brand basically reflects how people perceive you, and it's defined by their expectations, their experiences, and their interactions of you. So it is up to you to shape your personal brand. It is up to you to shape how you want people to perceive you. It is up to you to shape how you want people to think about you and talk about you. But the most important thing, and if you saw the banner for this event, you see that it says a personal brand based on value, because this is not about being an empty barrel. It's not about I'm happy to announce, meanwhile you cannot do your work properly. That's not what we're talking about here. That's why one of the things I talk about is it is about the results. It is about the value that you're creating. What value are you actually creating and putting in the world for people to engage with, for people to use? How are you doing things that are excellent? There's a way that my own coach says it. Yes, I have a coach. And she says your perceived value must match your produced value. And if some of my community members are here, so they know what I'm talking about. If you are just online and showing and creating a caricature or an image that's not really you, it's going to fall in the end. Like, you will be found out. All of the opportunities that I got that led to interviews and things, if I was not able to actually show proof in the work, in the interviews, I will not have moved forward with them. So it's not just about having some high sounding extra image online that you cannot back up in real life. There has to be something. It is not built on sand. We're not building a personal brand on sand. We're building it on real results, on solid work. So if you are doing shoddy work, this is not for you. This is not the place. So here's an example of someone who, because of sharing online in some way, they got an offer for an interview. They got invited to interview at Google, which is one of the companies a lot of people want to work at. It's like, your work can lead you anywhere. I submitted a talk to a conference, and just because someone saw that talk and the description of the talk, they invited me to give a guest lecture at a university, which is something I always wanted to do. And after that, because I did really well, they invited me to come back again this year to come and give another guest lecture. I gave, like, if I had gone to that guest lecture, the first one, and it was rubbish, they would not have invited me again. So the value actually matters. And this is one of my favorite quotes. It's not really about who you know, because they've told us growing up that who you know matters. Is who you know that will help you. It's not really about who you know. It's not even also about what you know and what you can do. It's about who knows that you know what you know, who knows that you can do what you can do. Because if you're the best writer in the whole universe, like the best, Hemingway has nothing on you. If nobody knows, nobody can pay you to write. Nobody can invite you to do anything. If you are the best artist in the whole world, Picasso, who? But if nobody knows, who does it benefit? It does not benefit you, it does not benefit anybody. There was a time when I was active on Twitter, which I absolutely refuse to call X, where if anybody on my timeline says, I'm looking for a UX person, it doesn't matter what kind of UX person they're looking for, people will start tagging me, because I talk so much about UX that in their mind, anything that has to do with UX, call a day. And that is what a personal brand is. Even if people don't understand the details of your work, they have to be able to connect you to it in some way, so that when opportunities come, if in my company we're hiring for a developer, and I don't know my friend is a developer, I don't know how that's possible, but let's just say that I don't know my friend is a developer and I don't know she's looking for work, how will I be able to refer her? I can't. So this is why it's important for people to know what you know. It's about to overcome all those things. If you think about the value that you're creating, then it removes that cringiness, that feeling of being cringe, because you're creating value. And this value that you're creating opens you up to opportunities. It allows you to showcase your skills, to connect with people. It allows you have influence. You're able to be considered for things where decisions are being made. It builds trust, because people see what you have done and they believe that you can do it. And so it opens, again, it's a recursive loop. I think that's the correct phrase. I didn't write that down. So it's every question loop and things connect. So, like I said, you have to craft your own narrative. You have to understand what do you want to be known for, what do you want people to associate with you when they think about you, what skills do you want people to come to you for, what skills do you want to use to provide value and to receive value by opportunities, by earning money and so forth. And this is what the Be Visible workshop and the boot camp and all of those things that I teach around personal branding and visibility is about. At work, it looks like in your value, taking credit for your work, being generous by sharing. If you think about sharing as being generous, sharing your insight, sharing what you know, helping people, this really, really changes how you perceive personal branding. So now, how are we feeling? Where are we? What are we thinking? What's popping? Let me know. Are we still together? What's popping? What's crack-lacking? Okay, we're still together. Lovely. You're wondering what people perceive you as. A good way to do that is to just ask people, like, what skills do you think I have? What do you think I do? And if people closest to you cannot describe your work, then you know that you have some work to do. So now I'm going to run through some myths. There are so many of them, but I want to focus on four that I found to be very, very top of mind as to why people find it difficult to self-promote, why people find it difficult to build a personal brand actively. Why does it feel hard? That's what I'm going to show now, why it feels hard, the myths. So the number one myth is that people think that you think your personal brand is about you. You think your personal brand is about you. Your personal brand is actually not about you. Do you know that? Like, are you shocked to hear this? Your personal brand is not about you. But it says personal. How can it not be about you? It's personal in the sense that it's about your work. It's not about you. It's about your work. It's about the value that you create. It's about your results, the character that you show, and so on. People think that a personal brand is about talking about how you're the most amazing thing since sliced bread, you are the best thing ever, but that's not what it is about. It's about the value that you create for other people. It could be that you're educating people. It could be that you're inspiring people. It could be in the work that you do in your workplace as a data analyst, as a risk analyst, as an investor, as a writer, as a whatever. It is the value that you're creating, and that is what you're showing. So if you think about it, it's not really about self-promotion, it's value promotion. It's not about self-aggrandizement, it's about helping other people. So take that away. Your personal brand is not about you. The second common myth is that you have to be the expert. You have to know everything about everything. You have to have a PhD in the topic or in the space. You have to have been working for 10 years. All of that is not true. One of the greatest myths that I have encountered is that you assume that people know the things that you know, or that the thing that you know is basic. I want you to do something right now as well on this call. I want you to Google how to copy and paste in Microsoft Word or in Google Docs, whichever one you use. I want you to Google that right now as we speak. And when you Google it, type a done in the comments. I actually want you to Google it because it's very important. So Google how to copy and paste in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, whichever one you use. While you're Googling that, give me a second. Okay, so a lot of people are done. How many results do you see? How many results do you see for that search query? A lot. Now, are you shocked? Because you would think that, oh, copy and paste, everybody can copy and paste. It's very easy. You just got your V. But a lot of people don't. If you go further down, when you do a Google search, if you go down, Google will show you things that other people search for relating to that search. People are really searching for how to copy a paragraph, how to do, and you would think that, oh, everybody knows how to do this. So the point of you doing this is to show you that not everybody knows what you know. There are even Reddit questions, exactly asking on Reddit how to copy things in a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word. So is the point of this is to show you that the things that you know that you think everybody knows, everybody does not know it. It's not true. There are things that you know. The reason why you think everybody knows it is because you know it. Is that thing of, because you're overexposed to it, you believe that everybody else in the world is too. But I hope that with this exercise that you've done, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you. Now, not everybody knows the things that you know, and you need to share it because people are looking for answers. And as simple as that query that you just did is, there were so many results for it. That means that also goes to show you that there's space. Your voice, there's room for you. There's room for your voice. There's room for your own explanation of how to do Control-C, Control-V. There's room. Somebody out there is waiting for your own answer to how to do copy and paste. And you can replace copy and paste with anything in your own role, in your industry, in your expertise and skills that you have. But the point is, you don't have to be the expert. You just have to know something. There are people that you know more than, just the same way there are people that know more than you. And there's value in you sharing your own perspective. There are things that you've heard many times. There are things that people have said to you a lot, but for some reason, it will not resonate with you until you hear it from a particular person. And it may be because that person has a similar background to you, maybe because you just like the person, but whatever reason, there are things that resonate with you more when you hear somebody else say it, even though you've heard it many times. And it's the same. There's somebody out there who is waiting to hear from you, because there's something about you that they resonate with, and by not sharing, you're preventing them from getting what they need. I hope that with that, you feel the need that you must actually share what you know. Okay, if you've created something valuable, if you've learned something, if you've gone through an experience that people can relate with, there's something about your process, about your own process, about your own learnings, about your own way of doing things that will resonate more with someone else. So yeah, you don't have to be the expert. Another myth is that you have to become a content creator. My brothers and sisters, friends, you don't have to be a content creator. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a content creator. If you want to be, that's fine. But I know that this is a blocker for a lot of people, because I've worked with so many people over the past 7 years. And this is the thing that people always say is like, I don't want to be a content creator. I don't want to be on Instagram all the time. I don't want to be online. Like, but you don't have to. You can choose where to build your personal brand, what platform. There are many people who have great personal brands that are not even online. Like, I saw a post about, I was trying to find it to include the screenshot of it in the slides, so I couldn't find it anymore. But basically, this guy was talking about how one of the best developers he knows, he's not on you cannot find him on LinkedIn or Instagram or anywhere. He's not on any of the platforms, but he's well known in those spaces. And that's a very great question, Grace. I'm going to come to it. You don't have to be, your personal brand doesn't have to be built online. It's 2026 though, and the world is global, we're really online, everything is happening. So it is advisable to be online in some way, but you don't have to be. If you're really, really good at your work, and this is where it comes back to value, if you're really, really good at what you do, you can build a personal brand that grows by word of mouth, that grows by the work that you do offline. Because there are people, think about it, there's probably somebody in your workplace or in your industry that's not really online a lot, but when people talk about your work, your industry, your company, your role, that person comes to mind, because they have built a strong presence offline. People have been building personal brands for years, even before the internet became a thing. So you don't have to be, although in 2026, very, very advisable to have some form of a digital footprint, because it can take you anywhere. One of my favorite stories is there was this guy who, he had a YouTube page where he had like maybe 10 subscribers. There were maybe like 5 views every time. But one of those 5 views was Oprah's assistant, or somebody who worked with Oprah. And she was looking for a new host or something. And then the person on Oprah's team who watches his videos recommended him, shared his YouTube page with Oprah, and she started working with Oprah, had hosted a TV show with her, and things like that. So when I say you don't have to be a content creator, you don't need to have 1 million followers, you don't need to have 700 likes, you don't need to have, like, all of those numbers don't matter. That's not your job. You're not an influencer. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to communicate the value of the work that you do or you have done. You're trying to share what you have learned, and you just need one person. Exactly. Thank you so much, Denike. You need one person. There's one person that needs to sit, and it's the right person. Once that one person sits, see all the things that I shared about the opportunities that I got, it was one person. A lot of those rooms, I was not giving talks to stage of 200, 1 million people. It was maybe at most 30 or 40 people in the room. And it was just one person that led to all those other opportunities. So you're not a content creator. That's if you don't want to be. You don't have to become one. You don't have to be on Instagram. You don't have to be on LinkedIn. You don't have to be on TikTok to build a personal brand. Again, advisable, because we're in 2026, but you don't have to. You don't have to be everywhere on all the platforms. One of the people who did one of the earlier versions of the Be Visible workshop, she took everything. Even then, I hadn't even started thinking about it from a workplace point of view, but she took everything from the workshop and applied it to her workplace. And because of that, she used it to pitch herself a new role to the executive director of her company, and she got a promotion using these principles from this workshop that was meant to even be, was more focused on online personal brand, but she used it in her workplace and she got a promotion. So that is workplace visibility. And in the new Visible workshop and bootcamp that is upcoming, Miriam, who is a content strategist, and she's also on this call, she's going to also teach about that because she's a content strategist. So if you want to build a personal brand online, we're going to go in depth into how to identify your core areas for your personal brand and how to create a system where you don't get burnt out, because that's also one of the areas that people said that they struggle with in the form. So basically, you can build your personal brand online, but you can also build it offline. You can choose whatever platform you feel the most comfortable on. You don't have to post every day. You just need to post one thing. Like, I'm going to show you an example shortly, a few slides down, of there's an Instagram page that I follow because I also bake and I follow a lot of baking pages. And this lady posts like the same 10 videos over and over again. I'll show you. The fourth myth is that your personal brand is about your job or your role. People are often concerned about being pigeonholed into one topic or one skill or one area, which is also something that I saw in the form of questions that people had. It's like, oh, I don't want to just be known as just this one thing because I do a lot of other things. If you recognize yourself in that statement, let me see an emoji or something in the chat. If you recognize, like, I do many things, I'm interested in many things, I have many interests, I'm a multi-potentialite, and you don't want to be narrowed down. Yes, you can talk about all the things you care about online. I talk about baking, I talk about being a coach, I talk about UX, I talk about products. It does not spoil. Everybody's not going to see everything you post. That's what everybody is not going to actually see everything that you post. So feel free to share all the value that you create in the world however you like. Exactly. So just share what you care about sharing. It's about the value. It is valuable to somebody, it's valuable to you, it is an insight, share it. Now we're going to move into the 3C framework, which is the framework that I teach for. It's more focused on building an online brand, but like I said, you can apply those things into your workplace. And I'll also talk a bit about how each thing correlates to building your personal brand offline and at your workplace. Are we still together? How are we feeling? What are we thinking? Do we have questions? Let me see. Okay, lovely. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. Good. Okay, so the 3C framework, it's simply create, circulate, and collaborate. Because we have only about 20 minutes left in this, 25 minutes left, I'm going to focus primarily on the create pillar. Also because that's something you can actually get started with like right now. And I will touch a bit on the circulate and collaborate as well, but the main focus now will be on create. Okay, so create, very clear. It means to create. To make something. And when you think about content creation online as networking, And when I say content creation, I don't necessarily mean like becoming a content creator. I just mean creating content online, whether it's one YouTube video or one essay or one blog post or one newsletter, whatever. It's a way of networking. If you think about it from that way as well, you think about your networking with many people at the same time. And that thing is always there. That YouTube page is always there. You don't have to constantly be updating your YouTube. You can share the same link 100,000 times, as many times as you like. Nobody's going to beat you. Share it. Do that your one YouTube video, that if that's the way you want to express yourself, I share it over and over again. It doesn't matter. Everything you create and you put online, whether it's a tweet or an Instagram video, whatever it is a way of connecting with people. It doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be formal. You can talk, however, you can talk as yourself. You have to be, that's the thing, like to build an authentic personal brand, because that's also one of the key things for me in building a personal brand is value and authenticity. You have to do it in a way that is true to you. You don't have to pretend to sound a certain way or use, if you don't talk that way, you don't need to talk that way online. Just there are people who actually connect with you more because you are talking as you really are, because you're showing yourself as you really are. And so in the chat, I want you to put something that you think that everybody knows about your work, your skill, your area of interest, or the area you want to build a personal brand in. Like the example I gave about like everybody knows how to copy and paste. So I want you to think of something right now that you think everybody knows about in your field of work. What's something that you think that everybody knows? Like obviously, so obvious that everybody must know it. How to plan, what is UX? Everybody knows what a product paper is. Everybody knows what an ICP. Let me tell you that everybody doesn't know what an ICP is, because as somebody who is building a business, the first time somebody said, "Who is your ICP?" I was like, huh? Who's my what? If you Google what you have just said, like your thing that you just said, you will see questions that people are asking about that topic to show you that not everybody knows it. So that topic that you have written down, that's my first challenge to you. Go and write something about it, whether it's an article you want to write. You don't even have to publish it. Just write something about it first. And we'll get to publishing later, but just write it. Write something. So how do you know what to create? Document what you're learning. And like I said, you don't have to be the expert. You can talk about what you're learning. When I started out as a UX researcher, I was just sharing what I was learning because I was so excited. I was like, wow, you guys, this thing exists. This is so fun, so cool. Everybody should do this. And I was just documenting my learnings, and I was documenting it. I wasn't documenting it. I was like, I now know this thing. I'm not the expert. I was like, oh, this is this cool new thing I'm learning. And that's a way to show value, to share. Answer questions people keep asking you. I'm sure there are things for people that know what you do in your work. There are questions that you get a lot from other people. Write about it. Answer questions about it. Share a mistake that you made and what you learned from that mistake and how you're moving forward. Something that you've done and how you did it and why you did it that way and how you do it differently. Those are just simple things from your own current work. You don't even have to think too far. Just think about your current work that you are doing, work that you did today, this week, this month. And there you have it. Another way to create content is curation. When I used to write a blog very, very actively in my late teens, one of the things that used to perform the best was curated links. I used to do this thing called Links I Love, where I'll put like a list of like 7 of my favorite articles from that I read that week and why I like them. And people like that. Curation is one of the best, not really low effort, because you have to read a lot and consume a lot of resources, videos, all those kinds of things to be able to curate properly, to be a trusted source of curation of like, oh, these are books you should read or articles you should look at if you're interested in this topic. You have to read and watch widely. So curating is great because people see it as you are making their lives easier by showing them exactly what they need to know. And so it could be something that inspires you, something that you learn from interesting articles. And it is a way at work, a way of doing this is by highlighting other people's contribution. So you can create something in your company where you're highlighting, oh, these are the great things that these people did this week. Now you're spotlighting other people, but it's you that is doing that work. So you're also spotlighting yourself. So everybody's winning together. Value, generosity. And you're also showing things like leadership, forward thinking, initiative. These are things that employers like. Those things are things that employers like. So yeah, everybody's winning. You're winning, your teammates are winning, other people are winning, we're all just winning together. So now I want you to think about it. There's a dot dot dot. What can fill in that dot 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 for you as when you think about curation as a form of creation? I want to see in the chats. What else could be there? So I said sources that inspire you, sources that you learn from, interesting articles you've read, videos you've watched. What else could be something that is curation for you? Waiting. I want to drink some water, so I'm going to go off video while I'm waiting. New things you've learned, best practices. Yeah, so see, this is your assignment. You are giving yourself assignments. I love it. So that's also for you to do. And like I already said before, because you know something doesn't mean everyone knows it. Okay. What does curation mean? Curation is basically, I don't even know how to explain it without saying the word curating. So I'm going to just Google it. But essentially, it's being think about like a museum, right? When you go to an exhibition in a museum, somebody has curated that exhibition. They have picked the artwork and the pieces that will show in that exhibition. So you're the one that you're bringing things together. Even for an album, when people make an album, it's not all the songs that they recorded and wrote that actually make it into that album or into that EP. They have curated a list from all the things that they previously created that they think go well together. Thank you so much for all the people who are helping me to define curation. Yeah, what they said in the chat, compiling a list of things within a theme, putting items and experiences together to try to share a view of how someone else sees the world. Thank you, Shakil. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, LT at JS. Thank you, Adiola. Thank you, Omotala. So yeah, does that help, Grace? Does that answer the question? Yes, lovely. And thank you for asking that question. Do you see, this is literally an example because I just said curation because I was like, oh, everybody will know what it is. So right here is a live example of how not everyone knows what you know. Okay. Think about how you can be a curator to help you in creation. The second part of the 3C framework is circulation. So this is about how you make what you have created, how you can expand it, how you can scale it, how you can take it to a new level. In the workplace, this could look like sharing what your team has done, like the example I gave, using pre-existing channels. If your company has all hands, why have you never spoken about what your team is doing in your all hands? If your team has a newsletter, why have you never written anything inside that newsletter? If you have lunch and learn in your company, why have you not used it to say what you have done, how you have contributed, how you have saved the company money, or how you have increased this or reduced that, or helped this or that? And if your company does not have it, create it and pitch it as like, this is a way for us to improve cross-functional collaboration so the team, everybody on the team can know what everybody else is working on and showcase the value and create platforms for you and for other people to share what they're doing. So that is circulation. And with content that you actually create, how you can think about content is like, you can think about it as energy. Who knows the first law? Is it the first or second law of thermodynamics? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only fill in the blank. There's no scientists in this place. Content is like energy. It can change form. And one of the ways I learned this was observing PhDs. When somebody does a PhD, all the people that I may have seen that have done PhD, they've written a book about their PhD. That thesis becomes a book. They will give conference talk. They will do journal article that they will publish in an academic journal. They will do video. They will do all sorts of things with that same one thesis. So that's an example of transforming your content. That's why I said, when I said earlier, that I'm going to create something, it doesn't matter what it is, because you can present it in any way and in multiple ways. I've done things where I had a podcast, a lot of articles, a lot of my newsletters were transcribed versions of the podcast episodes. There are so many ways. This Be Visible. There's ebook, there's workshop, there's course, there's video, there's webinar now. So There's so many things. There's Instagram videos about it. I've written LinkedIn posts. There's so many things you can do with it. And why it's important is it's one of the things that helps you address that issue of burnout with content. Because if you take one thing and you multiply, divide, subtract, add in multiple ways, you have one piece of content and it has become 20 things very quickly, very easily. You can do carousel on Instagram, you do reel, you do video, you do Instagram posts, you do LinkedIn posts, you do all kinds of things can be done. And so when you create things, just think about how else can I share this? How can I transform it? And a lot of tools now, there are so many tools where you don't even need to do the groundwork. You just paste all your prompts and it generates everything else for you. So welcome to 2026. You really have no excuse to not share your work in whatever format that you feel comfortable with. And again, this is one of the things that we're going to look at in the bootcamp and in the workshop, how you can create your own system for repurposing your own content. And you can also repurpose other people's content. And now this is not, I'm not saying plagiarize. We don't do that here. We don't copy people's content and paste it and say it's our own. One thing I hate seeing on Instagram is when somebody will take a reel that somebody else did. They will now put themselves in the front. They'll now be nodding their head as the video is playing. That's plagiarism. You've not done anything. You've not added any new value to what the other person has done. You're just taking somebody else's work and presented it on your own platform like you did something. You nodding your head in the video is not doing anything. So if you want to use somebody else's work as a basis for your work, you have to be transforming it in some way. You have to be introducing something new to it. You can't just copy it and paste it and add one line and say, I've done something. Again, we don't do that here, please. We do good, credible work and create things based on our own value. So how can you circulate? Scaling your content, repurposing your content, syndicating your content. This also helps you reach different people because some people would rather read than watch a YouTube video. Some people would rather watch a YouTube video than read. Some people would rather watch an Instagram reel than subscribe to your newsletter. So it just helps you reach more people. And then also constant repetition helps things stick for people. Repeat, circulate. So this is, I said earlier that there's a baker I follow on Instagram that literally she posts the same thing over and over and over again. Can you say I've helped you to circulate so that you can easily identify it? This post is the exact same thing as this post. It's like the same picture. She only changed the thing on top. What's that thing called? I don't know, it doesn't matter what it's called, the text hook or whatever. And this is how many posts in between? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are only 5 posts in between. These 2 posts here are the exact same thing. The second one on the first row and the first one on the second row, they are the exact same posts. Like there's no even difference. The cover text is the same, the image is the same, everything is the same. So my point is that you can post the same thing over and over again. Again, don't assume that everybody has seen it because you posted it the first time. Everybody has not seen it. If you perchance go and look at your Instagram stats, check how many followers you have, check how many people saw your last post. That's how you know that it's not everybody that is seeing what you're posting. So don't be shy. Post the same thing over and over and over and over again. Let's post it so much that people immediately they think about that thing, they immediately think of you. That's how much you need to post it. Don't be shy. There's nothing to be shy about it because most of the people who are seen before will not see it again. So you're showing it for new people to see you so that you can expand your reach. So second, I've lost track of how many assignments I've given you now, but another assignment, think about what have you already created that you can reuse? What have you already done? What article have you written? What you've had conversations with your friends about your work? What do you remember from those conversations that you can actually expand into something that you can share in some other formats? So think about that as well. Collaboration is the last thing. And it's really about how can you work with other people to create something. You can co-write a book. I co-wrote a book with 2 of my friends last year. It was a very, very crazy adventure, but we finished the book finally. And when I started last year, I wasn't thinking about writing a book, but my friend was like, oh, she's writing this book. I'm like, oh, I have ideas related to this. And we all got together, 3 of us, we wrote a book together. We gave a talk about it in Nairobi. That's also going back to repurposing your content. That book, we basically wrote a paper about it, submitted the paper, and did a talk based on that paper. And the book is not even out yet. I'm already repurposing things, we're already doing things with it. So Collaboration, that way you don't even have to do all the work by yourself. That's the best about collaboration. You and somebody can share the work and you have less work to do. Collaborate with your peers. A problem here is that people are often trying to collaborate with people that are like way ahead of you. Collaborate with your peers. Like, these are the easiest people to collaborate with. If you do makeup, for example, and you want to do a photo shoot, find somebody who is a stylist, collaborate together, do something. You want to know how I repurposed the book without launching it? We just submitted, so we had the book, and so we submitted a paper based on the content of the book. We just repurposed a book is like 200 and something pages. Our paper was like 15 pages. So we repurposed the content of the book into a paper and submitted that paper, and then repurposed that content into a 20-minute presentation or something. It's really just adjusting the format to match the new context. This Be Visible webinar that I'm giving, that is 1 hour long, I've given a 5-minute version of it. Submitted it to where? We submitted it to so the book is about designing products, usable products for Africa, and we submitted it to a conference on doing research in Africa, essentially. So you just have to find a platform that is part of Circulate, actually, finding platforms where your work will resonate with the audience that you're trying to find, or with an audience of your peers or something. So for example, an example I like to give is that if you're a designer, like you're a UX designer, you shouldn't only be going to UX design meetups. You shouldn't only be in UX design platforms. You should be in communities where there are product managers, where there are developers, because those are people that you work with. So you are expanding your circle. But back to collaboration. So do a guest article on your friend's newsletter, do podcast appearances, give talks at communities, write posts together with people, create value, basically. And this is how you build your weak ties and your strong ties, which are very, very important as you grow your career, as you want to find clients, as you want to develop new opportunities. And that is the end of the 3C framework. So what next? But before I go into what next, what are you thinking? We have about 1 minute to go. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What do you want to do next? What is your next step after this? And I want to summarize by saying that the reason that you're not being found is not because you don't know what you're doing or you don't know how to do your work. If that's why, I can't help you. That's why I'll be able to help you if you know what you're doing, that you know how to do your work, but you feel like you're not being seen enough. It's because you're not sharing. You're not telling people what you can do. And if you don't tell people what you can do, they can't help you leverage those skills. So I want you to finish this chat, this quote in the chat. I want to be known for dash, dash, dash. What do you want to be known for? I want to be known for dash. Fill in the blank. Let me see it in the chat. How much time and dedication it takes to share these things and create content? Well, if you come to the Be Visible workshop or bootcamp, we'll talk more about that, how you can manage your time in creating, if you want to use content creation online as a means of building your personal brand. But some of these are the things that people said are the challenges that they experience when it comes to self-promotion. And I hope that in this session, you have seen some of the answers to these questions. But if you want to go further, I have more for you, because I always have more for you. Shout out to Steve Jobs. One more thing. Anyway, there is the Be Visible 3-hour workshop on March 22nd, where you have 3 hours. We have 3 hours together, and Miriam, who is a content strategist, will also teach a bit about how to, if you want to use content creation, how to do that in a way that is sustainable for you. But what I will be focusing on is how to actually define what you want your personal brand to be about, where you want to build it. It's not a content creation bootcamp. We're not going to be doing that. That's not what we're doing. It's not, if that's what you want to do, that's not the place. This is for if you want to build a personal brand, but you don't know how to, you don't know where to start, you don't know how to do it, whether you want to do it internally in your company or in some other way or online, then we'll spend 3 hours actually crafting that out. So when you leave the bootcamp, you have your actual document of, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it. And in fact, if I feel very, very, depending on how you respond and how I feel, we're actually going to post something during the course of that 3-hour workshop. And then if you want more hands-on work, you want somebody who will literally be shouting your ear to tell you that Why are you not doing that? And you want hands-on support to go through the framework and in a peer environment with peer coaching, group coaching, and also more in-depth insights and views into building a personal brand. 4-week bootcamp is the one I recommend. If you're not sure, if you're still testing it out, if you're like, I want to learn a bit more before I commit to 4 weeks, I recommend the bootcamp. The bootcamp is a great starting point. The bootcamp is what Belinda did, that she took all the lessons and used it to pitch her employer and got a promotion. There's so many stories of people like that who applied something from the bootcamp and got a raise, got a promotion, were noticed by people that they wanted to notice them, got new opportunities, things like that. And it's just 25 euros, $25, 25,000 naira, query only. And then the boot camp is 150 euros, $150, 150,000 naira, depending on your currency. It's price parity because exchange rate can be crazy. And I was like, let's do price parity so that people are not excluded because of exchange rate. So pick one of the two, pick both, if you please. If you're like, I need to get started right now, because this is in about 2 weeks and this is in about a month. So that's the end. If you have questions, now is the time to ask your questions before we go. You can ask questions about the bootcamp, the workshop, or what we have already talked about, or any other thing that you would like to have answered. Any questions, you can raise your hand to ask if you want to speak, or you can put it in the chat or in the Q&A section. I think in the Q&A section. Any questions? Okay, yeah. If you don't have questions, I always have questions. So I'll ask you questions if you don't ask me questions. Does anybody have questions? No questions. Okay, my question for you. First question. What is your number one takeaway from this session? Okay, curating your posts. Not everyone knows as much as you think. The importance of passive personal branding, like how you show up at work, in communities, at events. Exactly. That I cannot, if I go into how that has helped me in my career, we'll be here for another hour, but let's not. Not everyone knows what you know, so share what you know. Good. So the second question, what are you going to do next? Right now, after this call or tomorrow, what are you going to do with everything that you have learned this evening? Start curating. Start curating what? Let's put a little more specificity to that. Sign up for the 3-hour workshop. I love it. Hillary, I love it. Using the framework to list out 10 things you can share. Awesome. Let's see from a few more people. Start curating learnings from your weekly product podcast. That is perfect, because when you listen to those podcasts, when you highlight your learnings and you share it, that is a way of, one, making people know that this is what you do and you're interested in. And two, you're also kind of getting the attention of the people who create those things. So a lot of the time we want to get attention from people that we admire, but an easy way to do that is to engage with their resources and share them with other people and tag them. That is, when I was doing all of these things before, I wasn't doing it with the explicit goal of building a personal brand and all of these things. It's looking back on my journey that I see that, oh, this is how this happened. Because I did XYZ, then A happened. And one of those things was engaging with people's resources or sharing people's resources and tagging them. And then if somebody is mentioning you like almost every week, and not just mentioning you for nonsense, but like actually mentioning you, like they engage with something that you did, you will notice them. There's no way you won't notice them. You will definitely notice them. And if you think about it too, there are people who engage with your own work in that way that because they engage with your work in that way. So that's a very good thing. Yeah, alrighty. I'm seeing very great next steps. It's only one person that I've seen that they said that they will sign up for the bootcamp or the workshop. So I really hope that that's somebody's next step as well. But that's it for me. Thank you all for being here this evening. And I'm sure this was a great one. This was a great 1 hour for me. I hope it was also a great 1 hour for you. Yeah, so see you in the workshop or the bootcamp. Have a great evening. This is the final chance for questions. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, gone. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.